name is Patty Ruland. I'm with Engage by Cell. I'm joined here today by Barbara. She is the Senior Program Analyst from Burlington County Employment and Training Division of Burlington County Workforce Development. Was a little redundant there, but that's okay. I am so excited to be hosting this session. It's been just over, and if some of you got my email the other day, I can't believe it's been about 5 years since I started working with my first workforce development agency. For those in New Jersey who know Kevin at Middlesex County, he was the one who got the ball rolling and got us into working with workforce organizations. He was an early adopter of text messaging for communication and providing an easy way for people to access resources. Like I said, it blows my mind that it's been literally like just over 5 years since we've been doing that. And now we work with organizations across the country. We have some folks up in Canada that we work with. So it really is amazing how we've been able to fulfill a need that was maybe back then a wish, a dream, but now it's become more a reality for lots of folks in the workforce development industry. Molly, you want to go ahead and go to the next slide? Oh, also too, we just came off of exhibiting at the Pennsylvania Workforce Conference a couple of weeks back. Krista, who you'll hear me refer to Krista every so often. Krista is actually working the chat window, so she might be answering some of your questions if you have them. So she participated in our virtual booth there. So if you're joining us after you've attended that conference, thanks for stopping by today. And we participated with NEWDP for several years, but this past year, we were one of their sponsors. So we've really kind of evolved in the workforce agency vertical. And we're looking forward to hopefully next year getting back to normal where we can meet more of you in person. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Engage by Cell. Sorry, Molly. I'll catch up. We are the umbrella company for Give by Cell, Guide by Cell, Train by Cell, offering all types of mobile technology services. We've been around for about 15 years. I think that number is probably higher than 4,000 clients worldwide, US, Canada, Mexico, UK, and so forth, Germany. We've done amazing work outside of the US. As well as supporting our very own clients here. And let's go ahead. Perfect. So a little bit about Burlington County Workforce Development Board, and we're going to email this slide. You can read all about it. You know, not unlike other workforce development boards, they provide an invaluable service. More importantly, Barbara's responsible for providing a direct linkage to the business community, workforce development, educational and training providers for all job seekers. So that's why we're happy that she's here to join us today. And Barbara, why don't you tell us a little bit? I know we're going to talk about your story and what you were doing in a little bit, but why don't you kind of just share a little bit about, you know, what it's been like during COVID?
I've had 2 roles during COVID. So the first half, I was actually employed with our community college and career services department. But we at the college then, we had a partnership with the county, which is where I am now with the Workforce Development Board, which I really started when in 1998. So I kind of left the board, went to the college, and then I'm back. So I've seen both sides. So at the community college and at the Workforce Development Board, you know, everybody went virtual and you had to pivot and we had to figure out how are we going to connect with customers, whether it's customers or employers, customers or job seekers, you know, you name it. Unfortunately for us, fortunately, not unfortunately, we already had Engage by Cell. So we were able to make those connections and still kind of roll with the punches on getting notification out. Who's still hiring? Where are the COVID resources? You know, how can you still get training? We're still open but we're not open in person. But we had a pivot on both spectrums, if that makes sense.
Right. And we've actually signed up a lot of new agencies during COVID, but the ones who were using our platform and our solutions prior to COVID almost had a little bit of a leg up because it was easier. They already had people's cell phone numbers to text them out, hiring event information or information about resources that, they might not have been able to get. We talk about people all of a sudden made the one computer that they had at home, their kids are now using for their virtual schooling and so forth. So having their cell phone be their tool to still keep them engaged, still keep them, aware of what's going on and opportunities and so forth, we found to be like paramount. So like I said, you guys were well positioned to pivot a little easier than some organizations that were coming in, with a blank slate.
Yes, I have to agree with that.
Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Molly. So, and let's talk about what workforce looks like now. So is your office currently reopened? Are you seeing people in person? Is it by appointment only? How far in the transition to the next normal, new normal have you gotten?
Well, we were on a hybrid, every other day, in person. The staff, we have not seen anybody in person except for, we have a drop box. So if customers have information that they need to provide for training, they can drop it in a box. They can meet, social distance with their counselors. Nothing's in person yet, and we don't know when that will happen. But the county staff, we're back every day. 8 to 5, we're operational. It's just we're not in person with customers yet.
And I think the key is with you folks in your organization and with similar organizations, there were so many folks who became unemployed due to COVID.
Yeah.
So your job almost became even more important in connecting those people with resources.
Yes.
Whether information about unemployment insurance, potential new opportunities for jobs and so forth. So it's almost like there's essential workers and there's the frontline workers, the healthcare and all that. But you guys were providing, an invaluable service to try to keep people, at a steady normal, making sure that they still had a position or had a position that they could apply for and so forth, correct?
Correct. And we also decided to do something different because everybody had a pivot, and you're talking about being on computers. There are certain employers who weren't in person either, but they still had a hiring need. Warehouse positions, logistics, healthcare was huge, obviously. But how are they going to interview? Well, you're looking at a virtual interview. So we had to actually coach new job seekers on how to do this. So we set up the PowerPoint. Well, you create a page, then you can blast that link out, and now everybody has access to this new PowerPoint and steps on how to do this. So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who have been, say, in the service industry or hospitality, I know they were hit really hard.
Yep.
They could be at their previous employer for 5-10 years or so. They haven't updated a resume in years. Maybe they never even had a resume to begin with. They needed to brush up on their interviewing skills and, what do you wear to a virtual interview? All those kind of tips that people were in need for, you guys were able to provide to them.
Correct. To every single subscriber that we had, we were able to blast out information on, how to check your audio, setting up the camera, what your resume should look like. We'll get you through this. We were kind of like their support, their rock, so to speak, in their time of need. And we've gotten a lot of response back of, this is fabulous, thank you. So
great. Let's go to the next slide, Molly. So I just want to, we're going to get to more in depth of what Barbara was doing, but I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about our platform, just so new people who maybe have never heard of us before, or just have, they're curious as to what our platform or our solutions look like. We are a dual platform SaaS-based product, so it's cloud-based. Two components: text messaging for communication, so pushing out information about hiring events. I know I was just in your account, Barbara, and you have a bunch of them pre-scheduled about some hiring events coming up.
Yes.
You can push out information about hiring events, links to presentations like Barbara was talking about. We have some organizations that their career counselors or their job counselors have their own lists that they're able to communicate through our platform with the folks that they're working on. So there's the text messaging side for communication, and then we have what's called a mobile app. It's a platform where an organization can upload any type of content, whether it be audio files, video files, PowerPoints, PDFs, images, you name it. You can also create forms, so maybe pre-intake forms. You can have people upload documents to it and so forth. It really is endless. And, we're talking about everything now in the COVID era. But I don't know how quickly things will go back to the way it is. And people have realized that there is accountability and you can actually do so much without physically having to go into a location and, fill out forms and things like that. And I'm sure, in the coming months and years, we'll see what the landscape ends up looking like. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I don't know if we have it in the slide, but, there are people out there who are, can't necessarily easily get to a physical location, whether it's, they need childcare or, I know somebody who, we had a call with somebody and their people sometimes will have to take 3 buses just to get into an office to fill out a form. So this is really becoming a very convenient and easier way to engage with people. And again, I think if you make it easier for them to engage, you're going to have a higher success rate. You're going to have a better placement rate. You're going to get the feedback you need, and you're going to continue to improve your services. So let's go to the next slide, Molly. And again, this is just kind of what I've been talking about: increased community outreach, higher attendance. Now, have you noticed much drop off for your virtual events? Or has it been pretty consistent since you're still alerting people through the text messaging platform?
It's actually increased. So we have more participation through this platform than we have with just an email.
Right. And I'm sure, like many organizations, you're getting the unemployment insurance lists.
Yes.
And you're being able to reach out to them. I mean, if you had to sit there and either email everybody or call everybody individually, that's time consuming. And are people even answering their phone? Because we're finding, email open rates are dropped to somewhere around 20%. I don't even know what phone answer rates are at this point because the numbers have dropped so low.
Right. And a lot of people don't want to hear, hi, it's Veronica, and I want to talk to you about your car warranty. So they don't answer something they don't recognize, and they're not going to answer, and they're not going to respond to a voicemail. So it's wasted time. And if we had all that time to emailing and calling, I'd honestly still be working on December's list. There's so many people on this list.
I know. It's sad that there is, but being able to provide this service for them is great.
Yes.
Lots of times folks ask us, what's the difference between a mobile app, like a platform that we have, as opposed to their website? So again, I mentioned earlier that Middlesex County was my first workforce development agency. And they came to us saying, okay, we share a county website. There's information about your trash pickup. There's information about, you know, the town's business plan for the next 5 years. There's all this information on the site, and it's hard to dig through and weed through and find what you need as a job seeker or somebody looking for resources. So being able to curate all that information and put it in one simple, easy to access platform has really made a difference. Do you guys find the same?
It is so efficient. It's your organization is in their back pocket, literally. They don't have to go anywhere to Google. They don't have to be tethered to a computer, nothing. It's all right there. And when they download it in their browser, it's an app. And then whatever, and you can update that and all the pages and everything is current, and they can just go back and everything is right there. Anything you want them to see, read, it's all in this app.
Absolutely. And yeah, you make a good point. They can save it to their home screen. So it would just look like your Uber app or your DoorDash app or your Facebook app or anything like that, without them having to go to the App Store or Google Play and find it and download it and have it take up storage space on their phone and, you know, things like that. So having it as a mobile app is so much easier. The other thing I want to press upon is the last bullet point here. We did a webinar with an agency in Tennessee recently. And one of the things that they stressed is because of the platform, because of the metrics, because of the reporting capabilities, they were able to show their measurable results. Mm-hmm. And thus, they didn't lose any of their funding. You know, you all rely on outside funding to keep these programs going. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is that something you guys consider like a big benefit, to be able to have that that metric system or that way to show your results?
It's a huge huge benefit. So when someone signs up, you know, they're signing up. We'll talk about this a little later, but we've incorporated Engage as part of our process when someone's looking for training, or if someone comes into our job center. Some are know that as being a one-stop. So when you put them in there, now I have names. So if a career counselor says, hey, I have 5 people starting training on Monday, I just want to send them a message. Sure, what's your message? I type the message up, and you know, it's like, hey, here's a quick reminder, your training starts Monday. So they don't forget, they don't not show, and then you have to start the process over, or hey, how's your training going? You just, these little touch points go a long way. You know, people feel that they're being cared for, so they're going to give you results back. Oh yeah, training's great. Yeah, I completed training. I got this certificate, and now I have a job. All your performance measures are met, and no federal funding is lost.
Exactly. Let's go to the next slide. And I touched upon this a little earlier, the convenience. So no physical visit needed, transportation, childcare. You know, the new buzz term we're hearing a lot is the digital divide. You know, some people don't necessarily have home computers. They don't necessarily have Wi-Fi at home, but the majority of folks do have a cell phone. Or even if it's one that they share with, you know, their spouse or something like that, it's still the convenience factor. And people are texting. So, you know, text messaging is one of those things that made this great leap where, you know, you used to just text your friends and family, send some pictures of the kids, things like that. But more and more organizations are realizing that it's a great way to communicate. It's quick, it's to the point, no more 7-paragraph emails and things like that. So I know, like I said, you pre-schedule a lot of your texts to go out. Mm-hmm. You consolidate it into your 160 characters with your link, and you know, you're good to go. It also makes it easier because the person receiving that is not overwhelmed with a lot of information. It's more easily digestible. Right. You agree?
I absolutely agree. And our concern was, are we sending too many messages out? Is someone going to opt out? And we're not seeing that at all. Everybody's on an even keel, whether they have a job or not. They are still interested in what we're pushing out. So,
yeah. I'm going to give a shout out. I think I saw John, one of our other New Jersey workforce development clients, on there, and they came to us a while ago and they said, even when people are finding jobs, they're not necessarily opting out. Right. Because they might have a friend or a family member who, knows they're getting that information, and they pass it along, or they share it, or if they see something, they see about a hiring event at, Amazon or something like that, and they have a sister or a brother or a child who's interested in getting that, they want to be able to pass that information along. So their people aren't opting out even once they're finding positions, because they're finding the information to be of value to them. And I think that's key when you're thinking about how much is too much messaging. Right. You don't want to message somebody 40 times a day, obviously, but as long as you're keeping the information relevant to the receiver, you're providing them with a resource, or you're providing them with an opportunity, or you're providing them with information about a specific event, opt-out rates seem to be pretty low.
Yes.
Excellent. Let's go to the next slide, Molly. And finally, I know I've been kind of interweaving you in between here, but let's get to kind of your story. And what I always say about these webinars, and these are my favorite when we have our clients on them, is because you can share your story. FYI, we don't pay our webinar speakers or anything like that. You get no benefit out of doing this other than my eternal thanks and gratitude. But it's usually helpful for new clients or prospective clients to hear from an existing client. They want to hear it from the horse's mouth, how it's worked for you, what you've done, and so forth. So if I haven't mentioned it earlier, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very humbled.
So, and I will say this, not only is Barbara a speaker here on our webinar session today, but you've actually done some of your own presentations on our service to other groups.
Yes,
which I think is amazing.
Thank you. I really enjoy it. It is so efficient, and I'm not a tech person. So if I can do it, you can do it.
So as a last minute thing, Barbara actually printed out a QR code from our platform that allows you to access her site. So a couple of ways you can access it. You can get sent a link, you can text in to access, or you can scan a QR code. Do you want to hold that QR code up?
Yes. Okay, so here's my QR code. If everybody wants to scan it.
If anybody on the call wants to scan that.
And you see, if you're having a problem, I have to talk during this. So.
So we'll give everybody a second for them to scan that.
Okay.
And it should work. I did it on mine earlier.
It should work. And then you can follow along and see what I've created. This would be your guide by cell that we use, and we intertwine it with the engage by cell. It's super easy. And you can do this. You can send a link to a desktop if you need to, but they can open it on an iPad, and they can open it, obviously it's for the cell phone. So I'm gonna put this down now. Yeah. So why don't you just kind of dive in and tell us now. I originally spoke with the folks at your organization several years ago. We got them excited, we got them involved, we got them set up, and then you kind of came in a little bit later. But why don't you kind of talk about your experience, what your goals were, what you hope to achieve, and how it worked for you, or is still working for you, I should say. It's really working for us. And the reason why we got involved is for the same reason people are on this webinar, is they need to connect with our customers. Again, job seekers, employers, anybody, youth, our veterans. You can connect with anybody using this platform. Kevin, who I guess started this whole ball rolling from Middlesex, We would go to meetings that they would host, and they'd have this great, beautiful banner about their mobile device, and we're like, well, what is this? And we want that too. So that's how we really got connected. I sort of wasn't really in the beginning stages of the planning part of it. It really just fell in my lap literally last year. I knew of it. We pushed it when I was working at the community college under, in career services. We really pushed, because you can have one keyword, but you can have as many secondary keywords as you want. So for Gloucester, I'm just hypothetical because I see John for Gloucester, they can say, text the number to, text Gloucester to this number, or you can do Gloucester space youth, or Gloucester space job center, or Gloucester space endless possibilities. That's how you connect with your different groups. Thank you, Kevin.
So like Barbara was saying, you can add secondary keywords for people to self-enroll in information they want to receive, notifications about. As you had mentioned, Gloucester space, we should be saying Burlington, but yeah, John, Burlington space youth, and they would get information about youth programs. Burlington space, again, career center, and it would be about the center, and so forth. So it's a great way for people to self-enroll in information that's relevant to them.
Correct.
So as you started working with the platform, what kind of challenges did you come up with, or how did you decide what type of content you wanted to put out there? What was kind of the thought process in that?
Well, yeah, so okay, so let's back that up. So Engage by Cell, we would just use the text messaging, get this out there to get, here's the hiring event, this date, come out, or this is happening now, here's an info session. It was just more informative. We didn't realize, well, some of us didn't realize, mainly me, that there was the Guide by Cell part of it that, kind of comes with the Engage by Cell piece. And I said, wait a second, I can have a mobile app in my pocket, set it and forget it. And they said, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, what is needed? I need things for employers. I need things for job seekers. So this is what, and I just sat there and I planned it out of what's needed right now. So as you can see on the screen, there's only 6 showing, but I have 8 because it does, all 8 little categories fit on a mobile screen. So I did, obviously my county. So if anybody is in need of county resources, it was in their back pocket, and everything led back to the main county site. They needed to know where their trash pickup was. Our workforce development board. Well, what is that? We used to be called workforce investment board. And what is that? We still, have questions of what is that?
Right.
Our job center, which is formerly known as the One-Stop Career Centers. And then of course, our community college that we really have a nice knit relationship with. And then I wanted a toolkit for our businesses and for our job seekers. I have youth programming, and then I have adult basic education. They're really my main categories. We had a little bit more, but we realized that they were a little bit more duplicative. So I was able to work with the solutions team and get, they're wonderful. So getting it planned out was easy peasy.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do, Barbara, I'm going to try to get this on this. Whoops, no, it's not letting me.
Some people had problems with the QR code, so.
Yeah, so I'm just going to, nope, it's not letting me share my screen. Let me see if I can get it on here. No, won't let me. Anyway, we will get you that link to it.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that's included in the presentation. One of the things you talked about is all the information. So, I mean, have you found that the variety of types of content you can put up there, meet your needs. Is there anything that, is missing? Being able to have video and audio files. What's probably your most, or the content you put most of it up there?
So when you're creating you're creating your own app, it's so easy. It's a literal drop and drag. You go text, you can make a carousel, when they see the pages go over, you can add a file, add a PowerPoint. I can do a survey, I can do a scavenger hunt, you can do polling. Just a little, I love the button because I have, click here and then or apply now. So when they click that button, it goes right to the application page. I don't need to type anything out. It's just a simple click of a button. And you can have as many pages as you want under each of these categories. I've counted. I have 28 pages right now under the Job Seeker Toolkit.
And you can, obviously add more at any time. So our platform has unlimited pages and categories and so forth. You could have as much as you want. And the great thing is you can go in and get rid of old data or old content. You can update it at any time. It's really flexible. And I know you say you have no tech background at all.
No. I have to get my 17-year-old to teach me how to Snapchat or what I'm doing wrong on IG. I'm clicking on personal stories when I shouldn't be. So I don't know, but this is super simple. So I feel like a rock star when I'm doing this because no one else seems to know how easy it is, and they just just give it to Barbara. It's easy. I'm telling you.
And it makes you look like a tech whiz all of a sudden. You're like, let me add this and let me create that and let me do that. It's kind of fun. I'm going to take a second here. It looks like we have some questions coming in. The reason I'm asking is we engage with youth to provide one-on-one tutoring as a way to increase adult workers' comfort using a digital platform. Does Barbara provide some training to job candidates? So are you able to do kind of a one-on-one? Can you push out?
Absolutely. That's how I really, yes, you can. That's a simple answer. When I do any kind of setting up a text, I always test it on myself first to make sure it will go out properly and you don't, get an error or, make sure it's going out. So you can either send to a list, which includes all your secondary keywords, or you can send it to a certain mobile number. So if you want to just connect with one person, you can.
Excellent. Also, we have here from Melissa. Also, on Barbara's Burlington app, does the app duplicate her website, same info, or are those links to individuals' websites, adult ed, youth services, AJC, etc.?
These apps, it will connect. So when you click that AJC app, all the pages will show up. In the pages, I have links to other people's websites. It's just here on the phone. So that way, when you go over, you are going to someone's website. I didn't create a website. Did I answer Melissa's question?
So it's not necessarily just the stuff that's currently on your website. It goes a little deeper than that.
Yes.
There's more links to external sites or applications or things like that.
Specifically under the Job Seeker Toolkit, you can copy pages. So you create one page, and if you want it to fall under any other categories you think someone's going to need, you can just copy the page. You don't need to recreate. It's not a heavy lift. So for unemployment, we personally do not have and haven't had in decades a person in unemployment here. There's no live body. It's a phone.
Right.
And now even with the pandemic, I didn't get paid or I filed it. And they have all these questions. And of course, and unfortunately, our state staff isn't in the office to answer these questions. So sometimes it comes to workforce because we're tied, unemployment work, they call us. So, they're frustrated or they just have questions. Even if they're on this app, I have all the information and all the links to answer their questions in this app. So instead of me looking for it, I pull my own app up, go to that page, and I can give them that link super quick.
Yeah, again, much easier than weeding through stuff and trying to
Yes.
find it. So, I mean, I know, again, I started working with you folks prior to COVID.
Yeah.
You've been heavily involved during COVID. Where do you see it going next? Again, like I know you're not in person yet and so forth, but we have some folks that are like, okay, well, things are starting to get back to normal. Do I really have a need for this? Now it's kind of like, so what are your kind of thoughts on folks that might be newly adopting these types of solutions?
Take it and run with it. It would be the best decision you ever made. Whether, you're going to be seeing people in person and I don't need this, you really do. It cuts your marketing. It cuts down your paper. It cuts down your need to send out emails. Not getting an email. We're limited staff here. There's not many of us here. I would say 3 people, maybe, in our office that work on all the programs under the Workforce Development Board. So sending something out to engage the board itself, like, hey, reminder, there's a meeting tomorrow. We need you to show up because, we have to report to the Department of Labor. Just something simple. You can't go wrong. It's so efficient. Again, Patty says she doesn't pay me. I wish she did, but she does not pay me. And I would be happy to, my information is going to be at the end of the slide. I would be happy to answer any questions you have. You can email me. Not a problem.
And I have to say, I mean, this actually, from what you've told me, I'm not making grand assumptions or anything like that. This platform and solution has actually made your job a little easier.
So easy. So easy. Don't tell anybody. I mean,
I know.
But yeah, it is so easy. I'm going to give an example real quick. So, everybody, on the East Coast has a Wawa. They're having a hiring event. Well, they need to get the word out. While they have good marketing, extra marketing doesn't hurt. So I create the page, I blast it out, and when they're at their locations and they say, "Oh, how'd you hear from us?" and they're like, "Oh, I got a text." Well, that's me. So, they're extremely grateful. And now I have an employer that trusts the way we are operating and knows that we're going to help fill their employment gaps. It's a win. Amazon did info sessions. They were able to have a spike in who's attending their info sessions because I did the blast. It's just a simple create the page. Every page has a link and a QR code. And then I just put that and embed that into the text that goes out. So simple.
Yeah, and I should also mention that, and that's something kind of we don't, and I'm glad you brought it up. Not only is it benefiting you as an organization, you as an individual employee at that organization, helping you do your job, it's benefiting the job seeker, but it's also benefiting the companies that are looking to hire people. And again, we hear this more and more, that these hiring events have been attended by more people than they thought they were. They had 100 positions available and they got such great candidates that they could have filled 150 positions because they are getting, the volume of people coming through, and where they hadn't seen that in a really long time.
Yes. There's, questions that, I'm not techie either. But when I get a text and it says, Wawa's hiring, click this link for more information, that link takes me into an entire page that has more information on it. And if they know they've subscribed in, they know that it's not someone asking about their car insurance. So yeah, and
Totally
I you have to give a little, skin to the, people really do know how to use their mobile device over a computer.
Right. It's something that they're probably more familiar with than using, other programs on, they might know how to use Excel or something like that, but they know how to use their phone. They know how to send a text message. They know how to read a text message. They know how to tap on a link and have something pop up. You mentioned, or let me ask you, how did you, you mentioned the keywords and publicizing them. How did you spread the word that this platform or this service was available for job seekers?
Okay, so in the very beginning, you know, we collectively made a little postcard. We made a little postcard, and we just blanketed the town. It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of telling your partners this works. I embedded the QR code and into my email. So any email that I send out has my QR code. It takes you right to the mobile app. We're really doing that, but we're taking it one step further. And we're putting it into the process, anybody's process. Right now, they're going to be taking this information to the county, I should say. It's taking the information to where the food banks are providing food for those in need. So if they're in need of food, chances are they may be in need of employment or just other resources. There's Skill Up New Jersey, the Metrics Learning. We have all that embedded into the platform, the Guide by Cell. So they're taking this thing I called it a notice of engagement. It's really their way. I'm getting them to opt in without saying, hey, text this to this. I'm getting their name, I'm getting their phone number. They are aware that I'm going to text them during appropriate business hours. We don't have a two-way text, it's a one-way text. I cannot say thank you, I cannot text them at 3 a.m. So we really make sure that we give them, the safety, like it's all safety.
Right.
We don't want anybody to feel that I'm going to be harassing them. So when we're doing this, now I have someone's name associated with a phone number. Of course, I shred the paper after I'm done. They opt in. And our subscribership has skyrocketed because of us doing this now in our process. So our county, we call it downtown, is taking this notice of engagement on the road now. So I'm hoping that I'm going to really see a bump in our subscribers.
And the other thing you mentioned, I know you mentioned early on you created the postcards and so forth, but now there's so many other alternatives. You can post it on your website, you put it in your electronic email signature. So I'm sure cutting down a lot on printing, it's cutting down a lot on waste and recycling and so forth, also having everything digital and electronic.
Correct. And then I'm trying to, pitch it to my husband because, he needed something. I'm like, oh my gosh, you need this. And of course, the question was, well, how much? It's got to be expensive. It's not at all. So when you look at the cost and what you're saving also in paper and the marketing and the time that you're using to put a flyer together, it's great.
Yeah. And, I know things are opening up now, but you're creating flyers. Where are you going to put them? There's not people walking around on the streets that are going to see it to the telephone pole anymore. You did mention something earlier, the one-way texting, the pushes as opposed to the two-way text messaging. Just for everybody on the call, I wanted to let you know, we do actually have two-way messaging capabilities. So you can create that one-on-one back and forth conversation if you choose. Some organizations just choose to push out. Some choose to have the feature where there can be responses and so forth. So we're getting pretty close on time. Any last questions in the chat window? If you came in late, again, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat window so we capture you. I asked everybody at the top of the hour to add a song as to how they're feeling today. Mine started out as Walking on Sunshine. I'm moving mine to I Feel Good by James Brown because I'm happy, so happy we were able to get you in to share your story today.
Thank you for having me.
On the screen, you see my contact information and Barbara's information. We have recorded this session. They'll edit it. They'll probably fix all my little flubs. And that will probably be emailed out to you later today or tomorrow. If you'd like to learn more about our services and solutions and maybe like to see a demo, feel free to type your name in the chat window. We'll have somebody reach out to you. Otherwise, one of our associates will follow up with you. Any final words, Barbara?
Thank you. And if you're considering questioning whether you should do this because the world's opening up, please, feel free to call me, email me. I will respond to you. I will, put your mind at ease. Everybody at Engage by Cell, Guide by Cell has been super wonderful. If I have a question, I email, I'm getting an email back right away. There's reporting. I forgot to mention the reporting. I mean, I can see how many clicks a page has received to know whether or not it's working. If it's not really working, then maybe I should rename this slide. We have an assessment called Career Coach. Well, job seekers don't know what Career Coach is. Maybe discover your career. So we changed the wording, and now I went from 0 clicks on that page to now I'm up to 66 maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's I can't say enough about it. People are so tired of hearing me say Engage by Cell. I think they're going to hit me with a book if I say it one more time. Like,
oh my gosh. Well, we love working with you. We love work with organizations like you. We're happy that you're part of our family and that you advocate for us and evangelize about our mobile technology.
I do.
Let me just see if we have any last questions before we let you go. Looks like everybody's just thanking you. And again, I thank you.
I hope I didn't disappoint. I hope I answered everybody's.
Not on my end. Okay, I'm going to give you one last chance.
Question.
What's your song of the day now? Oh, did I lose you? I think Barbara conveniently froze, so she didn't have. Barbara, did you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It just, look, I'm in a building of kryptonite. You can lose service at a drop of a hat.
Oh
so
my
it's that
God.
tech thing.
I said, I'm going to give you one last chance to come up with your song of the day.
Oh, well, I sang Walking on Sunshine the entire slide because you said it. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, I got to think of another song because Alice Cooper, really? I was, I got a car, so I have the Sirius radio, and now I'm listening to Hair Nation, but I'm also in the 80s. I went to the 70s. I love bread. The best of bread. That's my favorite.
Bread.
I love it.
Okay, great. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining us today. If you have any questions, this somehow just went like this, but we appreciate you joining us and taking time. And any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.